Hello, everyone. My name is Nobuaki Sato, and welcome to the RC3 Long Night Research 2025, the session hosted by the Disaster Management Research Institute, Japanese Red Cross College of Nursing. So welcome. And today we are going to make three contents of the presentations. The main theme is the advancing disaster readiness, insights from the Japan on technological innovations, mortality, and behavioral biases. Okay, I'm very happy to get Soshino-san online. Yes, now we are three presenters today, and let's get started. Oops. Yes, the first, I'd like to make a remind like this way. This is a very common slide, and during session, you can rename your name on Zoom, but it is up to you. Actually, so this is not a big session, and it's some of you I already know, so there's no big the issue for that. And if you have any questions, and this is a seminar type, please use the chat box to ask your questions to the presenters. I hope you don't have any IT issues right now. And the session, this session is recorded already, and the participants, you have to not take pictures or a screen of other participants without permission. Yeah. And oh, it's fantastic. So now the AI generated captions and translation is already added in the session. So this is very typical Zoom function for using this AI generated captions and translation. And probably so you know how to do it. But if you have any questions, please let me know. And okay, yes. Okay, now let's start our session. So today's session, Advancing Disaster Readiness, Insights from Japan on Technological Innovations, Maturity, and the Behavioral Biases. As you can see, there are three presenters today, and the first one is will be made by Dr. Yasuhiro Soshino-san. He's online, and also the second one is Atsuko Tamai-san, and the last one is myself. And the main theme of this session is like this way. And this session will explore three critical themes in disaster relief research, drawing from Japan's extensive experience in managing natural disasters. And the first session will examine humanitarian technology innovations inspired by Japanese disaster responses, and highlighting cutting-edge solutions that enhance efficiency and effectiveness in relief efforts. And the second one is examine the DRR and also the phenomenon of conformity biases and its impact on timely evacuation behaviors and during disasters. By understanding effective DRR education and how social pressures influence decision-making, we can develop strategies to encourage more effective and timely evacuations. Finally, the concept of disaster-related indirect death, a term not widely recognized globally, will be introduced, and Japan's unique approach to addressing this issue will be discussed. Okay. Yes, then we'd like to start with the first one, but before that, I'd like to make a very small session, presentation about our organization, Disaster Management Research Institute. So actually, this session is hosted by DMRI, Disaster Management Research Institute, and this is our Japanese Red Cross Academy. So he's Dr. Tomita, the president, chair of the board of JRC Academy. And now, as you can see, we have 6 nursing colleges and 1 junior college across the country. And skip this one. Yeah, this is the history of our hospital and the nursing education. And the Japanese Red Cross started the nursing training from in 1890. And as you can see, as you can, a long history. So we established our institute in 2021. This is our organization chart. And the overview of our DMRY is like this way. And the purpose of the foundation And there are three purposes, but mainly, so we are the practitioners, but at the same time, we need to accumulate the experiences and the know-hows and how to support and help save people in case of in the moment of disasters. So we established this institute at that time. Sorry. Oops. And our goals and the main objectives are like this, but I will omit this part. It's a very long one. And we have 10 divisions, and I'm just introduce very briefly. Disaster Relief Division, and the International Medical Relief Division, and the Disaster Nursing Division, Disaster Prevention and Mitigation Division, and the International Relief Division. Oh, it's me, yeah. And the Psychosocial Support, and infectious disease, and the disaster volunteering, disaster relief technology division. So this is Dr. Soshino. He's going to make a presentation and soon. And the last one is life support for disaster victim division. So among those 10 divisions, our disaster management research institute continues to support people and also contribute to the works of the Red Cross Red Crescent movement. Yeah, please visit our website if you have time. Okay, now it's time to start the presentation by Soshino-san, Dr. Soshino-san. And I heard now you are on the way to the international conference to Canada, and it's the booth of the airport, I heard. So yes, I will stop the okay, sharing screen. Yeah, please, Soshino-san, it's your turn.
Thank you very much, Dr. So actually, I have a problem on the my microphone. So could you kindly operate the slide by yourself on your side?
Okay. Sorry. I'm going to show your slide on behalf. Just a moment. I'm going to make it. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so good at manipulating the Zoom. Just a moment. Yeah. Yes, it should be okay like this one. I hope it works.
You.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much. So good morning, everyone. So thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Soshino, and I'm doing research on the humanitarian technology. So next slide, please. So in our definitions, so humanitarian technology is a technology to save lives and reduce human suffering and protect human dignity. So in other words, humanitarian technology is a technology to support the Red Cross and Red Crescent activities. Next slide, please. Thank you. So before I start, I'd like to explain the session structure. So my talk introduces our humanitarian technology project to improve the living condition in emergencies by creating new solutions. And the evacuation decision making is really influenced by the living condition in the emergency shelter. So my talk deeply relates to the Tamai-san. And also that after evacuation, it's very important to set up the living conditions, emergency shelter for healthy life events, even in emergencies, which Sato-san talk later. So these our three talks deeply relates each other. So now I explain our humanitarian innovation project to improve the living condition in emergencies. So next slide, please. So then I move to my talk. So this is the outline. So in introduction, I will emphasize the importance of the proper infrastructure to evacuation centers in evacuation decision making. I will also introduce health risks in the blackout caused by disaster. And secondly, I will introduce our approaches to improve the living condition at the evacuation shelters. Then I will introduce our humanitarian innovation project with the private sectors as a case studies. Next is a discussion. I highlight the value of the dual use technology that function in both non-disaster times and emergencies. In conclusion, so my talk concludes that promoting humanitarian technologies as everyday solutions could help strengthen this community of resilience. So from now, I move to introduction. Next slide, please. Sorry. So in 2014, in Kumamoto Prefecture, where I live, the pilot project on the preventive evacuation in daytime before the heavy rain expected during nighttime. So according to the questionnaire survey to the real evacuees, 35% of them reported facing difficulties in evacuation decision making. So their specific concern at that time included the hesitation due to the worry about the proper toilet availability in evacuation shelters. So in this way, proper sanitation at the shelter is important to foster the early evacuation before disaster strikes. Next slide, please. So I'd like to introduce another study on tsunami evacuation in 2010 in Iwate Prefecture before the Great East earthquake and tsunami. This study reports that the tsunami evacuees returned home during the tsunami hour, the tsunami threat. They felt cold and tired, as well as the inconvenience related to toilet facility as an evacuation point. So in this way, without comfortable evacuation shelters, residents may return home even if the tsunami threat remains. Next slide, please. So this figure shows the number of the patients with carbon monoxide poisoning from 2010 to 2016. As you could see, in particular period, the number of the patients increased due to the Great East earthquake and tsunami. So this study pointed out that due to the lack of electricity and low temperature, the disaster-affected people use the alternative power sources such as generators and charcoal, and this increased the risk of carbon CO poisoning. So in this way, the availability of electricity as an evacuation shelter is crucial. Next slide, please. So I move to explain our approaches to improve the living condition as evacuation centers. Next slide, please. So in evacuation shelters in Japan, there are two challenges. The first issue is harsh living conditions such as beds, sanitation, spaces, privacy, and gender issues. In addition, secondly, the evacuees suffer from the severe weather conditions in summer and winter. For example, when the northern part of Hokkaido is really cold, while in summer in Tokyo, Osaka, and wherever in Japan is really hot. So under this weather condition, it's really challenging for the evacuees to live in the evacuation shelters in such harsh conditions. Next slide, please. So this picture shows our team's strategy focusing areas. So our technical support to self-help efforts and to mutual and public support efforts are on the vertical axis, while the availability of infrastructure is on the horizontal axis. So to support the self-help efforts in the people, even during the blackout, we jointly use the cold weather and heat protection clothing with one of the largest apparel companies in Japan. So on the other hand, the support to the mutual assistance and public support, we jointly develop movable infrastructures such as battery system and the flush toilet to improve the living condition as the evacuation shelters. Next slide, please. So from now, I will introduce our humanitarian innovation project. At first, I will explain the joint development of the heat and cold protection clauses. Next slide, please. So according to the research by my colleague in Japan, the number of deaths and hypothermia is larger than that from heat stroke. More than 70% hypothermia cases occurred indoors. In this way, even in the normal time, we need a solution to prevent hypothermia cases before disaster strikes. Especially elderly people tend to refrain from using air conditioners. So after all, there is a limited access to utilize the infrastructure even indoors during no disaster time. Next slide, please. So therefore, we started to design and develop a new affordable and where to prevent hypothermia and heat stroke with the apparel company in Japan. Next slide, please. So this picture shows a new cold protection clauses exhibition in last year. Next slide, please. And this April, so we organized a joint exhibition on our new heat protection clauses. Next slide, please. So in our lives, in everyday life, like normal time before disaster strikes. So in Japan, we have the health issues in hypothermia cases in winter. On the other hand, we have heat stroke cases in summer. So to protect, as a solution to these health challenges in normal times, we jointly developed the cold protection clauses and also heat protection clauses. And by using these solutions in our daily lives, we could prepare for the health issues during evacuation in severe weather conditions, even though we don't have the electricity in evacuation shelters. So this is our strategy to support self-help efforts. Next slide, please. So the information on our activity is posted on the as an article as a Global Disaster Preparedness Center. So please access if you are interested in. Next slide, please. So next, I will explain our movable power supply unit. Next slide, please. In 2013, after the Great Japan earthquake and tsunami, so we proposed a smart design shelter concept, which is a relief approach that uses the storage batteries, movable shower, and movable flush toilet as a public facilities such as parks and stadium, and then relocate them in emergencies to the disaster-affected areas. So this is to realize this concept, we started a joint project with the private sector. Next slide, please. So based on this, our concept, we started a joint research and development with the Kyushu Electric Power Research Institute on the use of lithium-ion batteries during disasters. We deployed the battery to the in the Typhoon Haiyan relief operation in the Philippines. Next slide, please. And when actually I'm living in the Kumamoto southern part of Japan, where the severe earthquake struck and severe flood struck. At that time, we deployed our lithium battery to support the damaged hospitals and also to improve the living condition as evacuation shelters. Next slide, please. And this year, we started the joint field study on our latest movable power supply unit together with the private sector. So this picture shows the overview of the application of the power supply unit in emergency response. The main battery unit could be installed in the disaster-affected areas to support the evacuation shelters, base camps, and field hospitals. On the other hand, the sub-battery unit could be transported to the safe areas to charge the battery. So in this way, we efficiently deploy and utilize this mobile power supply unit in emergency cases. Next slide, please. Last week, we organized a joint field test on this battery system, and we this battery system supplied electricity to our mobile hospital at Kumamoto. Next slide, please. And this week, in Nagano Prefecture, we conducted a joint field test, assuming that establishing the base camp for the external relief team and for the temporary shelters in disaster-affected areas. So in this test, this power supply unit was installed to supply electricity to the trailer-type houses. Next slide, please. So next, I move to our movable flush toilet project. Next slide, please. So based on our concept, we started a joint development of the movable flush toilet with the water recycling system from 2013. Next slide, please. So this picture shows the overview of the water recycling system in our movable flush toilet. Once we flush the toilet, the excreta is biodegraded into CO2 and H2O. Then the raw water is filtered to be used as flushing water again. So in this way, the water inside this toilet is recycled. Next slide, please. In 2020, our toilet is commercialized, and in 2023, the Ministry of Land Infrastructure in Japan officially installed our toilet at the public roadside station as a disaster preparedness. Next slide, please. On January 1st of last year, a strong earthquake struck Noto Peninsula, which caused a disruption of the water supply network. So in the disaster-affected areas, flush toilets were not available due to the lack of water supply. Therefore, the Ministry of Land and Infrastructure deployed the movable flush toilet to the public roadside station in Anamizu town in the disaster-affected area. And the operation of the toilet was monitored using the IoT system. So, and according to the system, approximately 300 people use the toilet every day. Next slide, please. So this slide is prepared by the Ministry of Land and Infrastructure. So the user of this toilet really highly appreciated the support using this toilet. So in this way, our Red Cross innovation protected human dignity in the disaster-affected areas. Next slide, please. Furthermore, the sales agent of the movable flush toilet donated a movable flush toilet to support the recovery work in the Noto Peninsula. While a lot of flush toilets were not able to use due to the damages in the water supply system, so that this toilet could function without relying on existing water supply and drainage network. So this toilet is installed to rebuild back better as Sendai framework proposes. Next slide, please. So in this year, the movable flush toilets were installed various places in Japan. Ministry of Land Infrastructure installed a toilet at the roadside station in Gifu Prefecture, while the Gunma Prefecture officially installed the free toilet at the public facilities as disaster preparedness. So in this way, our concept is being realized. Next slide, please. So finally, I briefly explain the IoT monitoring of the movable infrastructure. Next slide, please. From 2021 to 2024, Toyota and the Japanese Red Cross conducted a joint field test on the world's first medical fuel cell vehicle. Next slide, please. fuel cell vehicle could supply a large amount of electricity by using the fuel cell technology. So as a mobile power plant, the fuel cell vehicle could provide large amount of electricity using the power supply function. So this picture shows the demonstration of power supply function from the medical fuel cell vehicle to the medical equipment. Next slide, please. The operation of the medical fuel cell vehicle is monitored using the IoT system. So if we utilize this information, we could match the needs between the disaster-affected people and the owner of the fuel cell vehicle in case of emergencies. By using the mobile app, we could do the needs matching between the beneficiary and the Red Cross. Next slide, please. Then I move to discussion. Next slide, please. So in discussion, I'd like to mention these 5 points. Firstly, we are focusing on designing and developing the technologies for limited infrastructure setting in both non-disaster time and in emergencies. Secondly, our outputs such as growth and movable infrastructure could cover all phases of disaster management cycle. Thirdly, the daily use of movable infrastructure in public facilities could be one of the approaches for disaster preparedness. In the future, the infrastructure could be monitored and operated using the IoT system. Then, movable infrastructure, which could be installed without large construction work, could be a solution for the silent disasters of aging infrastructure. Finally, our humanitarian technology are the technologies that bridge climate change, mitigation, and adaptation. I'll explain one by one. Next slide, please. So the movable infrastructure could be flexibly transported, installed, and relocated according to the situation in the disaster management cycle. As I explained, the movable infrastructure could be installed at the public facilities as a disaster preparedness. And if there is a possibility in the natural hazards such as typhoons cause disasters, as an anticipatory action, this infrastructure could be deployed to improve the living condition as an evacuation center. And following the disaster response, the movable infrastructure could contribute to build back better in the disaster affected areas. Next slide, please. So in fact, the Ministry of Land and Infrastructure published a guideline on the application of movable container at the public roadside station. So in this guideline, our movable toilet were introduced as a model of the container to be used at a roadside station during non-disaster period and deployed to the disaster affected areas in emergencies. So in this way, our smart design shelter is realized. Next slide, please. So in the future, we could use the mobile app to plant a base camp and field hospital. So using the mobile app, we will be able to match the needs and availability of the mobile infrastructure. Next slide, please. Nowadays in Japan, aging infrastructure is a serious problem which could be called silent disaster. Our movable infrastructure could be installed without large construction efforts to connect the water supply and sewage system, covering a long distance from the treatment plants. So in this sense, the movable infrastructure is a new approach against the aging infrastructure, both in urban and rural areas. Next slide, please. So finally, in 2021, the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement ratified the Climate and Environment Charter for Humanitarian Organizations. The movable infrastructure and our clauses contribute to both mitigation and adaptation using its unique functions. So in other words, our humanitarian technologies are the technologies that links the climate change mitigation and adaptation because the battery and movable toilet could function without the heavy construction, and also the workloads could help the people stay cool without air conditioners. Next slide, please. So, next slide, please. So, in conclusion, to support the local community who starts the first response in the disaster-affected areas, we could like to create and propose the use of the humanitarian technologies as everyday solutions to address both social challenges and enhance the resilience in the local communities. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. This is all of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any comments and questions, I'm very happy to communicate with you using email. So next slide shows my contact, so please contact me at any time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Soshino-san, for your presentation. So every time you show your presentation, so I found your new ideas and also the new equipment and also new gadgets on your slide. So it's fantastic. Thank you so much. Yes, and this is the seminar style, and it means that you need to make the question on chat box. So at this moment, so I cannot find new the questions to Soshino-san or comments.
Good.
I'm afraid. That's fine. Okay. Thank you very much. And I think that you are leaving soon, but so please stay. As you can. So thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I'll pass this floor to Miss Atsuko Tamai-san for your presentation, and I hope you have no technical issues. Yeah. Just a moment, please. Okay, it seems some technical problem. Just a moment. I'm going to open your presentation on behalf. One moment, please. Okay. Oops, it works. Yeah, it's open. But it isn't a full show. It's not. The. I think you can see the right. Yeah. Now Tamai-san is trying to change the screen, but just give us a moment. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen on behalf. One moment, please. Tamai-san, just you. Okay.
I'm sorry, Sato-san.
No problem. One moment.
Could you please show my presentation?
I think it's on. Yeah, I believe it works.
Already shown? いいですかね? Can I start then? Okay, I'm very grateful to be here today, especially among so many of you who are reading research and innovation within our movement. Whilst I'm not a researcher myself, I work as a disaster risk reduction practitioner with the Japanese Red Cross Society And today, I'd like to offer a perspective from the field where global frameworks such as the Sendai framework, early warning, early action, and anticipatory action encounter the realities. I shall not be speaking about theories. Rather, I hope to share with you observations from the ground, stories of real people, real systems, and the persistent gaps we are still striving to cross, even when the risks are well known. Could you please, next slide, please? I believe we are all here today with a shared understanding of the vital importance of disaster risk reduction. However, if I may, I'd like to take a moment to explain why disaster risk reduction has become such a central focus for the Japanese Red Cross Society. Our commitment to disaster risk reduction is not only grounded in international frameworks or institutional mandates. It is deeply rooted in lessons learned from our own experiences, particularly through major disasters where we provided emergency medical relief and humanitarian assistance. Next slide, please. Here is the first lesson we have learned. This table presents 3 of the most devastating earthquakes in recent Japanese history. The figures, could you please click? Figures in the final, okay, thank you. Final row show the average number of patients treated per day per team by Japanese Red Cross Society medical units during the first 2 days of the emergency response. So as you can see, the capacity of external teams to treat patients is limited, particularly in the earliest phase of a disaster when access to the affected areas is severely constrained. Moreover, many fatalities during major earthquakes occur almost instantly, whether due to tsunamis or building collapse. In such cases, even rapid external assistance cannot save those lives. Next slide, please. I'm going to, we have time or, oh, okay. So before moving on, I'd like to invite you to watch a short video. It's often difficult to fully grasp just how catastrophic the first moments of a disaster can be, particularly when we talk about events such as tsunamis. In many cases, the scale of destruction is so vast and occurs so rapidly that external support cannot reach the affected areas in time. And tragically, once that level of damage has occurred, it can further delay or obstacle the arrival of assistance. So, 再生してもらっていいですか?
Okay. Yes, I'm going to open the video, but that sound does not come to the audience, I'm afraid, but let's see.
No sound ね。No sound. According to the United Nations, more than 60 countries have experienced tsunamis over the past century, but for many, they remain a remote or theoretical risk. So I'd like to share this with you today. でもちょっと長いからスキップしてもいいです。はい。もうちょっとかな。It is said that even 30-centimeter high tsunami can sweep people away because of its strong currents. So you can imagine how overwhelming the actual tsunami was. Tsunami often carry debris. Stop. Vehicles and other objects. These can crash into one another, causing even greater destruction. I believe it is important to confront this reality because it is precisely this kind of hazard that we are trying to prepare people for. So, next slide, please. 大丈夫です。Next slide, please. Okay, so in another case study, the Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake, 80% of fatalities were caused by asphyxiation or crashing, and a further 10% of by burns and burn-related injuries. Of those who were trapped beneath the rubble, approximately 80% were rescued not by formal emergency services, but by local residents, like family members, neighbors, and community volunteers. These figures highlight a critical truth. There are limits to what external aid and public systems can do, especially in the immediate aftermath of a disaster. This is why raising awareness of disaster risk reduction at the community level is so vital. We aim to foster communities where people not only understand the risks, but also recognize their own role in protecting their lives and in helping one another in times of crisis. Could you please, next slide, please. So based on these lessons, we launched the Disaster Risk Reduction Program for local residents in 2017. So for many years, our chapters have engaged in a wide range of DRR-related activities at the prefectural level. However, the nationwide structural expansion of disaster preparedness as a core program area is relatively recent development for us. This shift reflects the growing understanding that the coordinated system-wide approach is essential if we are to reach more communities, ensure consistency, and maximize the impact. I will be covering section 2 and 3 together. These two are closely linked, so I will be presenting them as a single segment. So next slide, please. And this is an overview of our program. The diagram you see here outlines the overall structure, including the core objective, our intended outcomes, and the curriculum we deliver to communities. The program is designed to be adaptable to different community contexts while staying focused on our central goal, empowering people to understand risks, make informed decisions, and take timely action to protect themselves and others. Now let's take a closer, could you please click? Now let's take a closer look at the goals of this seminar. These goals may seem simple, but they are likely difficult to put into practice. Disaster risk reduction is not just a concept or an ideal, so it must result in saving lives. So let's now explore each goal in more detail. Could you please, next slide, please. Okay, firstly, one of the key components of enhancing knowledge is to understand the mechanisms and characteristics of different types of natural disasters. Each disaster, whether it be an earthquake, tsunami, or flood, has unique features, and the way we protect ourselves differs for each. So therefore, it's crucial for participants to gain a comprehensive understanding of these differences and learn the appropriate actions to take in each case. That's why our seminar covers a wide range of natural disasters, helping people understand the unique characteristics of each and how to respond appropriately. Next slide, please. We are now in the process of adding a new curriculum that specifically focuses on weather-related disasters. This is because despite advances in forecasting technology, many people still struggle to understand meteorological and evacuation information, which makes timely action very difficult during emergencies. Thanks to advanced weather radar networks and timely communication through TV, radio, and smartphones, communities have a clear heads up before a disaster strikes. However, the real challenge lies not in disseminating this kind of information, but in ensuring that communities understand them correctly and now know exactly where, when, and how to evacuate. Next slide, please. This slide shows the newly revised evacuation information system. So this system may seem clear, may be divided into 5 levels with recommended actions for each level clearly outlined, but it's actually quite complex because as the necessary actions depend on where and when the information is received. For example, if you live in a landslide-prone area, immediate evacuation from your home is essential. However, depending on factors such as the time of day, your condition, like disabled or elderly or something, and your location, alternatives like vertical evacuation or seeking shelter inside your home might be safer options. Another challenge is the public perception that the only safe evacuation route is to a public shelter. In past heavy rainfall disasters, there have been very unfortunate cases of people dying on their way to public shelters when in fact they did not need to evacuate. So to address this, our evolving curriculum is designed to challenge this mindset by making evacuation more personal or situational by using tools like hazard maps and my timeline, which is inspired by the US timeline and then uniquely developed in Japan to be adapted for individual use. Next slide, please. So this is exactly what we mean by the second point, personalizing disaster preparedness. It's about moving beyond general information and helping individuals understand what actions they should take based on their own circumstances, location, or situations. Next slide, please. So let me introduce one curriculum we use to promote this kind of personalized disaster preparedness, the Disaster Imagination Game, or DIG. In this exercise, participants gather around a very large community map and through discussion, mark key features such as evacuation centers here, hospitals here, and hazardous areas like landslide prone zones here, like this. And this participatory mapping process enables communities to visualize local risks as well as resources and allows them to plan specific actions before a disaster strikes. Next slide, please. Okay, this is another approach we use to help people internalize disaster risk is ethnography. Unlike testimonial-based approaches, our use of ethnography is not centered on a single storyteller. Instead, it is based on a large number of in-depth interviews with disaster survivors, which are carefully analyzed and woven together into a single narrative text. And this material is designed to feel like a story, but every element is grounded in the lived experience of real people. So participants read this narrative to re-experience the disaster through the eyes of those who lived it. They encounter not only the physical challenges, but also the emotional, social, and practical dilemmas people faced and how they responded. Crucially, the process does not end with reading. After engaging with the narrative, participants take part in guided discussions in group work where they reflect on what they have read related to their own lives and contexts and explore what preparedness might look like in their own communities. In this way, ethnography helps participants move from empathy to insight and from awareness to action. So next slide, please. Okay, so through these types of curricula, we work to share disaster knowledge, help people to internalize the risks, and ultimately encourage preparedness and action. However, and this is something we must confront honestly, even when people understand the risks, there are still lives we are unable to save. This painful reality has prompted us to take a closer look at what prevents people from acting, even when they know what to do. In response, we are now developing new components for our curriculum designed specifically to address the barriers that lie between awareness and timely evacuation. Next slide, please. Here we see something striking. Even when evacuation orders are clear, many people don't leave. Why? As I explained earlier, in weather disasters, people may sometimes don't understand the warnings. However, this hesitation isn't limited to weather events. We observed a similar behavior in the case of tsunamis following major earthquakes. So why do people stay? That's what we will explore next, not informational barriers, but psychological ones. So next slide, please. people often say things like, I was not affected last time, so I will probably be fine. Or if no one else is going, I will stay too. Like these are examples of two powerful psychological barriers: normal bias, which is the belief that things will stay the same, and conformity bias, where people look to others to decide how to act. In both cases, preconceptions and assumptions can dangerously delay or prevent life-saving decisions. So next slide, please. Based on such research and analysis, we have produced videos, developed educational materials, and launched campaigns to raise awareness about these psychological challenges. Both normal bias and conformity bias are present in every human being, and our goal is not to eliminate these biases because they are part of human nature. By integrating deeper understanding of human psychology into our evolving curriculum, we aim to help participants become more self-aware so they can recognize hesitation in the moment and take life-saving actions when it truly matters. Next slide, please. So this is the animated video we created to explain normal bias. I won't show this video today due to time constraints, but it uses the metaphor of a pair of glasses to represent how this psychological bias works. And when people wear these glasses, they tend to underestimate danger, even in clear emergency situations. As a result, they may ignore warning signs and delay taking action, which can lead to serious consequences during disasters like that. So I will share the link of YouTube afterwards so that you can enjoy the video. Okay, so next slide, please. So to recap what I have covered so far, simply providing knowledge about disasters is not enough. What truly matters is whether people understand the risks, feel a personal sense of concern, and most importantly, take action when it truly counts. That's why we hold our seminars in small face-to-face groups, because in-person sessions allow for deeper engagement and more tailored learning experiences. At this point, I'd like to ask you to recall the second and third goals of our program. In fact, the methodology of our seminars, their participatory nature, small group settings, and the local focus are specifically designed to achieve these two goals. By attending together, participants not only learn about disaster risks, but also begin to recognize each other's faces, exchange ideas, and build stronger communication within the community. This shared experience can spark the emergence of local leaders or inspire individuals to support and stand beside those in leadership roles. In this way, our seminars go beyond individual preparedness. They contribute to strengthening the social fabric of the community itself. As you may imagine, this approach takes time and effort, but we believe it is essential to building the kind of lasting resilience that can truly save lives. So then, why is the Japanese Red Cross able to make this happen? Next slide, please. Now, as we come to the conclusion, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the organizational framework we have developed to roll out our disaster risk reduction programs, the achievements we have made so far, and the challenges we face moving forward. I will be covering 4 and 5 together. So next slide, please. Sorry. So this is a structure we have built to recruit and train facilitators who plan and deliver seminars at the community level. Our strengths lie in the fact that we have a nationwide network of chapters, a large number of volunteers, and established trust within communities to deliver curricula such as dig and ethnography, as I explained earlier, with consistent quality while adapting to the local context. It is crucial to train a large number of facilitators across the country. And to achieve this, what we need is clear, structured system and a solid institutional foundation. So far, we have trained and developed nearly, could you please click, 1,200 facilitators and ごめんなさい、あと2回ほど and of these, approximately 60% are volunteers. Thank you. Next slide, please. And thanks to the growing number of trained facilitators, the number of seminars has been steadily increasing since the COVID-19 pandemic. Although the data for fiscal year 2024 is still being compiled, the number of seminars held in just the first half of the year has already matched the total from the previous year. So this suggests that the upward trend is expected to continue. Next slide, please. And this may all sound like a success story, and in many ways it is. But we are aware of several issues that we must confront if we are to truly scale and sustain our efforts. Let me highlight a few of them. First, while our program is supported by many dedicated volunteers, a large portion of them are elderly. Some facilitators, though certified, are no longer actively engaged. In a country facing rapid population decline and aging, like Japan, how we address this challenge will be critical to our sustainability. And second, currently we offer seminars in response to requests from communities. However, we are not yet effectively reaching those who lack both awareness and social connection. So unless we can engage these individuals and bring them into the conversation, genuine community building remains a distant goal. And third, despite the number of seminars and facilitators we've shown, these efforts are still only a small step towards nationwide coverage. So the Red Cross cannot and should not do everything alone. Many groups from local governments to volunteer disaster response teams are already active in this field. Instead of overlapping efforts, we must identify and fill the gaps. This requires organic, meaningful collaboration, but at present, the Red Cross is still operating too much in isolation, I think. And four, as a principle, we offer these seminars free of charge. However, even something as basic as covering travel expenses for facilitators requires funding. These costs are supported by donations, but as Japan's population shrinks, donation levels are also declining. So finding sustainable ways to fund our activities is becoming an increasingly urgent issue. And final one of the most persistent challenges in disaster risk reduction is measuring the actual effectiveness of our interventions. How do we quantify lives saved or disaster avoided? Behavioral change is hard to observe, and success often lies in what did not happen. So developing reliable indicators and evaluation methods remains a work in progress. So next slide is the final one. Thank you. I believe that many of the challenges I've just outlined will resonate with colleagues here today, especially those working in national societies operating in similar contexts to Japan, and or those actively engaged in disaster risk reduction. As I understand it, this gathering serves as a network for sharing research and practice, right, Sato-san? So I hope there will be further opportunities to exchange knowledge, particularly on the fifth point regarding how we measure the impact of our efforts. So thank you for listening. 終わりです。
Thank you very much, Tamae-san, for your great presentation. And so I just want to add one thing because it is not easy to develop those kind of the seminar and the other tools. But we also got the support from the university academia and also the consultation company to make those the courses and tools and some materials for supporting people in the right way. So I can also recommend the RCRC movement partners to use your to cooperate with academia and other the organizations to most effective and correct the way of the supporting people. So and the yes at the as far as I understand, there's no questions in chat box and the yeah all right, yes, my son's happy. Okay, thank you so much. And the all right, so I think that Soshino-san, so you are going to leave, but would you like to leave some comments or any the other points before leaving this session, Soshino-san? Maybe so you are not you're online, but you cannot hear me anymore. Okay, so okay. Now I'm going to make my presentation. Just a moment, please. I'm now getting very good at sharing the mic screen. This is the fourth time. Okay. And actually, this is not the research or research part, but I'd like to introduce the idea and the concept of the disaster-related indirect death to the world, because I'm afraid all Japanese the audience, so they know much about this disaster-related indirect death, 災害関連死 already, but I and my colleagues and myself also try to explain to the colleagues in other countries. So yes, they understand, but there's no, they couldn't, they don't get the, they didn't get the the real impact on the idea or the concept of the disaster rate to indirect death. So I'd like to introduce this part as possible. Okay, I'm starting with summary, and actually for those past 3 decades, the disaster-related indirect death is a key for the disaster response in Japan, and actually it's not so much get attention in the other countries. The second point is yes, actually it is the demographic issue. Actually, the demographic trends vary from the country to country, but some of you, your countries, you are facing the aging society issues, and it has the risk of more elderly people and others dying in evacuation centers and other places after disasters, after a disaster. So you can you can reduce the number of the the death toll about this disaster-related indirect deaths. And I really hope you to understand that this issue must be urgently addressed, particularly in countries with aging populations. Yeah. And this is the first concept of the disaster rate in direct death. And in 1995, there was a big earthquake in the Hanshin Kobe area, and it is in the morning of January 1995. And unfortunately, the number of the deaths is more than 6,000 people. And after 1 year of the disaster, one of the doctors, his name is Dr. Kozo Ueda. Dr. Ueda found that there's differences about the number of the deaths calculated before. So you can see the slide, but the total number of deaths from January to March. So it means that 3 months is after the disaster. It's 7,691. And counting the number of the direct deaths by the earthquake, it's 3,896. It means difference is 3,795. So it should be the non-disaster death. But coming back to the statistics, so average number of the death from 1990 to 1994, January to March, is around 3,000. It's natural death. It means In 1995, the non-disaster death was the 3,795, but the average is 3,000. It means there is a 795 differences. So it is called extra death, and the Dr. Weather noticed and made an article. We found at least 500 extra deaths. So it's afterward, it's called disaster-related indirect death. So disaster-related death has two types, and it consists of the direct death, as you see, the accurate phase by physical trauma and the drawing, plus indirect death, chronic phase. So aggravation of the chronic diseases. And also, it's a kind of the secondary health effects due to the evacuation environment or medical care delivery system delayed, or even the psychological effects. And United States CDC has a definition of the direct and indirect disaster-related deaths. It's a bit different from the Japanese understandings, but we can refer those definitions. These are examples of the indirect related disaster deaths. The first one is very common and is applicable to the case in Japan. An elderly person who has a heart attack after evacuating to a shelter during a hurricane. Yeah. On the other hand, this is the definition of disaster-related indirect deaths in Japan. A person who died due to aggravation of injuries caused by disaster or due to illness caused by physical strain during evacuation. So you can see that some examples like this way. And for the last three, the alcohol addiction, dehydration, malnutrition, and even suicide is included in this disaster-related indirect death. Why Japan? Why Japan? Has focused on this topic for a long time, because this is the answer. Yes, we experienced four big disasters: 1995, 2011, 16, and 24 last year. But you can see the number. So the direct missing is the left side, and indirect is the right side. So you can see even in the 2006 and 2024, in those earthquakes, the indirect death is much exceeds the number of the direct and the missing deaths. So it means, yes, the Red Cross and other organizations, Red Cross and other others, we tried our best to support, save the life of people during the disaster, but survivors, some of the survivors, so they die after a disaster. So this is really what we have to avoid, because this is this is the humanitarian the needs and also the challenge. So why it is happening in Japan so much? So this is the let's analyze analysis of disaster related indirect deaths. So for example, the first point is age. Yes, you can see in their 70 years, 80 years old, 90 years old. The 70s and above is more than 80% of the disaster related indirect deaths. And the date of death after the disaster. So 60% of the people died. People died is it's made in within 3 months after a disaster. And the other analysis is like this way: factors of leading to death. So more than 60% is a physical and mental burden in evacuation of life and due to disruption of electricity, gas, and water. And the direct cause of death is the disease of the respiratory system and the circulatory system. It is more than 60%. So coming back, so in summary, so this is the typical characteristics of the indirect deaths. Age is 70 years old and above, and the cause of death is the diseases of respiratory and circulatory system. It means that so the person probably have some, the chronic disease like this way. And also reading factors, physical and mental burden in evacuation life, and also the disruption of utilities. So it means that if we need to, avoid or reduce the number of those deaths, so we will focusing on those elements to support people. But now, why it is in Japan? So one of the important factors is aging society. So this is a demography of Japan, and you can see that on the left side. It depends on the definition, but the people of the more than 65 years old, so they are called elderly population. And the population pyramid Japan 2025, the left side, you can see the current situation in Japan. And the right side is the age ratio, and this is the in the past and the future. So a projection of that. So 2025, you can see the elderly population, it means 65 years old and above, is 30%, 30%. So it's high, but I'm not sure we are not sure it's a very high or not so high. And I'm going to get to the answer right after this one. Yes, and this is my favorite site, population pyramid. So let's see for your favorite. Yes, this is very interesting. 1956, 7, 8, and the demography changes like this way. Oops. Oh. This is kind of the happy days in Japan, I think. But oh my goodness, yes, big earthquake happened in this year. Also there. Now it's 2025. Oh no, we now reducing the population is down. And the 2014, 50. Oh no, it's getting slim, and you see the elderly population rate is 37, 36, 37%. Okay. Yeah. So this population pyramid site, they have many countries, the simulation are like this way. So now getting back to the question, so 30% is high or not so high or middle high. So the answer is this way. It's too small and you cannot read it. But where's Japan? This is the ranking of elderly population ratio. It's the pole position number 1 is Japan. Oops, 30% ratio is the world highest elderly population ratio. So it means that due to the aging society, we need to think about the the challenge of the humanitarian needs after a disaster. So actually 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, no, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, so we don't much have strong interest for the supporting the those kind of the indirect deaths. But after the Hanshin Awaji earthquake 1995, so it changed from the normal society to aging society. It changed around 1994. After that, the number of the people who died after a disaster is getting increasing and increasing. So since this indirect health is affects following disasters, this is the the new challenge for aging societies. And Japan's Red Cross and the DMRI, our institute, are continuing to explore ways to prevent and reduce the this indirect disease. And also, this is my main message to this seminar: is the yes, for countries facing the issue of the aging society. So you are essential. It is essential to be aware and prepare for disaster-related indirect deaths. And I hope the disaster will not come to your country, but in case of disaster and you are facing the aging society, so Red Cross and other organizations in the disaster relief organizations, we have to keen on the elderly people who had some issues to prevent this kind of extra or unnecessary deaths to avoid those deaths. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for joining us today. And oops, I got the one chat here and all right. Okay. Thank you very much. It's going to be okay. 5 minutes. Okay. Thank you very much for joining this session today. And we are so happy to make those 3 presentations. And for the first time, I mean our our Disaster Management Research Institute has the first time to join this RC3 event. So we also continue to work with colleagues of the RC3 and the participants and the other and beyond. So thank you so much for joining us today, and see you again in future. Thanks a lot.